Mr. Chairman, just waiting for the, we have now just gone live. I will now admit everyone into the meeting.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bayside Local Planning Panel of the 22nd of August 2022. I declare the meeting open at 2 minutes after 6. Can I say to you the purpose of the Bayside Planning Panel is to consider development proposals of any scale which are of some magnitude, normally over less than 30 million, or have potential conflicts. They might be conflicts that are seen by staff involvement or by number of objections. Also exceedance of development standards, or if they're sensitive in the local area. In particular, the panel must consider development applications that attract more than 10 unique objections. This panel meeting is being live streamed and it's being recorded. We ask no one else record anything of this meeting without proper permission. Applicants and members of the public are requested to be respectful to each other and, importantly, panelists and council officers. We will not tolerate anyone being disrespectful. Can I acknowledge, as indeed the Bayside Council does, the traditional custodians of this land on which we're meeting today, the Gadigal and Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. The people of the Eora Nation, their spirits and ancestors will always remain with our waterways and land and Mother Earth. Not my words, but please respect them. Do we have any apologies this evening? Thank you. Can I then introduce you to the panel? Firstly, my name is Gary Shields. I'm the chairman for this evening's panel meeting. My background is as an urban planner of some 40 years that I'm prepared to admit to. I have 3 master's degrees and a PhD in planning, and I've worked as a director of planning, as a consultant, and also a period of time as an acting commissioner in the Land and Environment Court. Can I please introduce Jan Morell?
Good evening.
Jan?
Good evening. Yep. Hi, Jan Morell. Yes, I'm a planner of some 40 years experience, and my background is mainly in state and local government and some private practice. My last position, full-time position, was as a full-time commissioner with the Land and Environment Court for 14 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Emma Kirkman.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. I'm Emma Kirkman. I have a background in architecture also, but I am here as the community representative on today's panel. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. John O'Grady.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. John O'Grady is my name. I'm a registered planner and a landscape architect. I've been in practice for not quite 40 years, 35 or so. I've had most of my experience has been in the private sector as a consultant, and I currently operate as a sole practitioner. And I'm on a couple of other panels similar to this one. And
just could you all please confirm that we don't have a conflict for the 2 items that are listed this evening? First of all, Jan.
No conflict, thank you, Gary.
Emma, I've read your note and I don't see that you have a conflict of on either item. Is that your view as well?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Gary. Yes, no conflicts.
And John?
No conflict, Gary.
Thank you. Can I say to the public that with COVID conditions that individual panelists have inspected the site separately rather than on convoy as we used to do. Used to be quite entertaining, and the feedback on those meetings was quite helpful as well. But nevertheless, we have considered all of these matters quite carefully. We've been briefed, I think, very helpfully by the council officers, and we have the benefit of a very fulsome agenda and a series of large scale drawings, which I've said to Bayside Council is extremely helpful. So I would thank them again for providing that information. We have some minutes of our previous meeting. In fact, 2 previous meetings. We simply need to note those 2 sets of minutes, firstly of the 12th of July 2022 and 26th July 2022. I don't propose to do other than note those. Having said that, by way of introduction, I'd like to move to our first item this evening, which is item 6.1, 222 Bunnerong Road, East Gardens. And do we have someone to present to us on that particular item? I believe we have a Mr. David Jarvis. Is Mr. Jarvis with us?
Hello, yeah, I'm here. Good afternoon, everybody.
Mr. Jarvis, how are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Would you like to address the panel, please?
Well, I thought I'd just make myself available for any questions. I've read the report that's been provided by council. I've nothing further to add to that. I'm in agreement with the report and, of course, the findings of the report. I thought it would be helpful if I was here, if anybody had any questions in relation to the development that I could answer.
And Mr. Jarvis, for the benefit of the panel, you're the applicant and the architect.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Jarvis?
Can I just have one, Mr. Jarvis, and that's in respect of your landscape plan. And I was wondering, for the benefit of me, who I don't know what the feature tree in the front area is, Carimbia. I'm just interested to know what size tree is in terms of being a canopy tree to contribute to.
Okay, you found my weakness. I'm an architect, not a landscape architect. I'm not particularly knowledgeable about trees and the size that they grow to. So
would you have any objection to the panel requiring a canopy tree, minimum indigenous to the area, a minimum of, say, 10 metres?
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do you think 10 metres
and the variety, I think, that's there, I think that you'll find that looks like a red flowering eucalypt, and I think you'll find that you can get those in various sizes and you'd be able to replace it with one that grows to that height. In fact, our landscape architect here might be able to assist us, John.
I won't stick my neck out. I'm not sure exactly what would work on the site, but yeah, you know, a flowering gum would be probably adequate, but whether it would achieve that mature height, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, thanks all. That was all. I just wanted to check. That's all. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions of Mr. Jarvis?
None from me.
None?
None from me, Gary.
Okay, and I don't either. Mr. Jarvis, we'll deal with your matter subsequently in closed panel, and there'll be a decision in the next day or two. The neighbours, and Mr. Jarvis, I do have just an issue with the pool. It just seems perilously close to both boundaries, the southern and the western. Do do you understand the neighbours to be reasonably happy with the pool?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
plunge pool?
The owners actually contacted all of the neighbours, and I think that there are a letter of support from most of them.
And the pool pump on the northern boundary, which Ms. Morell mentioned previously as a point of potential irritation.
That's correct. That's within an acoustic enclosure, so that should limit any sort of potential noise
Okay.
from the pump.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I move on to the next item, which is 6.2, and it's 1345 Botany Road, Botany. And we have a few speakers on this matter. Firstly, we have a written submission from a gentleman who I don't think necessarily needs to be mentioned, but the panel has read that submission separately. And we have mainly representatives here from the applicant. We don't have any objectors presenting, do we? No? So I have the first person listed as Mr. Benjamin Page.
That's me, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to, do you all wish to address the panel this evening? You're listed as being an owner, Mr. Page, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Look, my what I wanted to say was just sort of going towards all of the items that were listed on that agenda, starting from page 130, and it may take a couple of minutes more than 5, if that's okay. It's been a very long and drawn out process.
If you were the one representative on your team, that'd be fine. But if we're going,
yeah, well, my wife has to speak as well, Pamela.
And does she need 5 minutes as well?
I don't think so. No, I think she would need a few minutes.
Can I ask you to be as brief as possible anyway, Mr. Page? We'll see how we go.
I certainly can. I'll see how I go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll just go through it as quickly as I can. 2.3, the zoning on page 131. This has never been raised to date as an issue by council. And I'm requesting that the council justifies how the proposal doesn't meet the 5 dot points that are listed there, quite simply because it's never been raised before. Page 134, part 3B in the heritage. The external heritage consultant, Dunn and Hillam, original supported design was the traditional pitched roof. It wasn't the one that's been submitted. As per an email from Fiona on the 31st of the 1st this year, and after a discussion with Marta, they preferred a different option which wasn't suggested by the heritage consultant. We tried to address this with Peter Barber as the heritage impact statement was a non-negotiable document. He said, and the design was not a preference. And his response was that the heritage impact statement is taken under advisement but not adhered to. Point B on the matter is the final chosen option of the west elevation top floor design.
Sorry, Ben, you'll have to just be a little bit slower for me. Bear with me, please, Chair. I just need to.
No, that's fine. Look,
yep.
Like I said, it is.
So just do that. Just say that one again about the heritage impact statement.
Look, we were advised that it would be taken on advisement but not adhered to, and the original heritage impact statement that we did provide had a different design to the one that they actually opted for, which is different again to the one that was finally submitted. So, it was never, not much weight was put towards actually having a heritage impact statement with a particular design on it, to be honest.
So can I just ask you, when you said they opted for something different, who do you mean by they?
Fiona, in an email to me, she said she opted for a different option. We provided 2 options at the time. And
can I just wait till Mr. Page has finished, Jan, and then you can ask some questions. Otherwise, we'll just be bouncing back and forth. Mr. Page, can you finish, please?
Sure. There's a fair bit to read through. Do you want me to stop at the end of each point, or?
No, I'd like you to finish your submission and then any
Okay.
questions that the panel has can ask.
All right. So the final chosen option of the west elevation, which is the one you see submitted, was adopted from styling from an approved DA 2014/154 at 8 Daphne Street, which has got the exact same roof pitch and design on it. It's a boarding house that's been approved there. Should further information be required by council, we should be given the opportunity to do so, which is what they've asked for there, further information. And this fact was never an issue raised with the heritage report previously. Further, should the council prefer a particular facade, we would have happily changed it, as we've changed many things so far. And I refer to Peter Barber's email dated 8th of the 4th, 2022, stating, "There is an endless number of permutations. This is not the only one or what we would insist on, but it does show what is possible with an hour and some trace paper." So that's everything from that point. Page 136 of the agenda, 4A.2.1, design excellence calls towards referencing the local character and streetscape. So 4A.2.3 on the local character of page 136. Our design matches designs of similar nature within the direct vicinity, in particular 1333 Botany Road, which is 4 doors down the road. It's exactly the same, to be honest, with the same roof pitch. Our design is the same dwelling style with recently approved DAs and existing developments. Our design complies with all setbacks, FSR and building heights. Our design maintains roof forms with recently approved DAs and existing developments, being 1333 Botany Road and the one on Daphne Street there. Our design uses a material palette of cladding and face brick, which is sympathetic to the current developments in the vicinity and recently built developments. We request council to explain how our proposal is inconsistent with the desired future character given of all these factors here. To the desired future character, again, I'm going to refer to DA approved DA 2014/154 of the boarding house at 8 Daphne Street, which is exactly the same roof design, 3 stories high. It's exactly the same on the boundary as well. Moving on to 4A.2.4, the streetscape presentation. Our design matches designs of similar nature within the direct vicinity, that being 1333 Botany Road, which is 4 doors down the road. 1333 Botany Road, which is not visible in figure 8 on page 137, is the 3rd dwelling to the left of our block and shows the same design as ours from the street, with no setback to the 3rd floor. These pictures have all been submitted to council in the initial council response letter, which they disregarded, basically. Page 138 mentions the facade lacks fenestration. I refer to Peter Barber's email dated 8th of the 4th, 2022, stating, "There are endless number of permutations. This is not the only one or what we would insist on, but it does show what is possible with an hour and some trace paper." I would like council to advise how this statement can be justified without making a subjective statement. Figure 9 on page 138 shows 4 dwellings that make up the proposed streetscape. The dwelling to the left, 1341 Botany Road, modified DA 2022/47, has an approved modified DA approved on the boundary. So the use of and representation of this image for you is an accurate streetscape, is false. Moving on to 4A.2.8, the building setbacks of page 138. The proposal is consistent with the prevailing setbacks. Setbacks to southern elevation 2nd floor have been amended to 900 off the boundary as per council email requests. We are at this point unsure why this has remained an issue now, as we've complied with every council request as far as setbacks is concerned. but they're still saying it's an issue. Moving on to 4A.3.1, materials and finishes, page 139. To date, no negative feedback has ever been given on the schedule of finishes by council officers. The streetscape presents many different finishes, not just those listed as red brick, cream render and terracotta roof tiles. Included in the street is custom orb roofing, sheet metal tile look roofing, stucco render, shale grey roofing, surf mist render, and that's just to name a few. It's a mixed bag of absolutely everything on this street. So it's difficult to say that there's a streetscape of materials going on. Our proposal details cladding and face brick combination typical of the area. If there is an issue with the colour palette, feedback could have been given and complied with earlier. This shouldn't be a governing factor of refusing an application. Moving on to 4A.3.2, roofs and attics / dormer, page 140. It mentions that there is no precedent of flat skillion roof developments fronting this section of Botany Road. 1333 Botany Road, which is 3 doors down from our place, which is not visible in figure 8 on page 137, shows the same design as ours from the street. There are 4 dwellings within that development that are the same in look, and these pictures have all been submitted to the council in the initial response letter. 4A.4.1 in the visual privacy, page 140. Page 140 mentions first floor rear facing windows, which there are none in our design. Page 140 mentions the first floor balcony. Many instances of rear balconies within the vicinity have been provided to council during the ongoing process. We've provided sufficient screening to the south elevation. It mentions no privacy screens have been provided to the north. However, this has never been a point of consideration raised by council. Should it be required, this additional screen would be adhered to and should form part of the DA conditions making up the issue of the construction certificate and not be a reason to refuse the DA. Page 140 refers to second floor, side and rear facing windows. The rear window to the second floor does not allow visibility to the neighbouring yards due to being blocked by the roof line. Currently, we have 4 dwellings, each of which rear windows overlook our private open space being our backyard because of the development that's happened next door to us. Side windows on the second floor are mostly translucent as this is a master bedroom. However, if it was a requirement by council to change the glass type, it should form part of the DA conditions making up the issue of the construction certificate and not be a reason to refuse the DA. 4A.4.3, the solar access on page 141. By their own design, the dwellings at 1347 Botany Road, which is to the south, create their own shadowing of the internal living area downstairs caused by an overhang of a first floor concrete slab. The Unit D facing Botany Road have constructed a large pergola which covers most of their backyard, creating their own shadow. When considering the angle of the sun at winter solstice, which is 33 degrees, and with the approved design that has been built at 1347 Botany Road, there is no possible way to achieve 50% sunlight at this time of the year, despite whether we are approved for 3 stories or amend it to 2 stories, or even with the current dwelling that we live in being a single-storey home, there is no sun to their backyard at this time of the year. Considering item B above and during the design phase of 1347 Botany Road, the designers would have been fully aware that designing north-facing rear yards against the southern-facing side of our current home would allow less than permissible sunlight without the construction of any new dwelling at 1345. We cannot be responsible for providing the correct solar access for properties that have had an insufficient amount to begin with. Due to the design of the neighbouring dwellings having their rear backyards in their current position, we have effectively been forced out of being able to propose any design. This doesn't allow for us to attempt to comply with Part 4A.4.3, solar access, due to the actions taken by the neighbouring property in their design phase. We should not be permitted, we should be permitted to design a dwelling in accordance with council height restrictions and setbacks, which we have. The 4 dwellings to the south were approved and built well over the FSR at 105% FSR each dwelling, and I am suggesting that if they were designed to comply within them, along with maintaining their original block orientation, that none of this would be an issue. That's addressing all of the points which are raised by council, and thank you for your time in listening. I know it went a little bit long there, but I do appreciate it. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Gary.
Thank you. Not sure how that happened. Thank you, Mr. Page, and you certainly addressed all the points very fulsomely. And I was just going to invite the panel to ask you any questions. Jen, you had some questions.
Well, I just was, we were advised, and you haven't raised it, Mr. Page, but you were seeking a deferral.
Well,
and I'm just asking you on what basis, or what would you be prepared to change in if we were granted you a deferral as such in terms of the design of the building? Well,
what I would like to, I would be more than happy to go back to the original Heritage Consultants design with the 900mm setback off that off the boundary for that top floor. You know, that's really the consultation we had with her. She put a lot of time into it as well, and she's more than happy to provide the information extra that council need for the heritage report.
Who was that, Mr. Page?
Who was the heritage consultant, sorry?
The one you're referring to, yes.
Dunn and Hillam. Yeah, they're local architects as well. Perhaps you know them or not, I'm not sure. So look, it's, you know, it's more about sort of having that clarity back from council rather than getting piecemeal feedback, and it was really quite a bad experience, to be honest.
So can I just ask you then, how long do you think it would take you to prepare amended plans? I mean, I'm only one member of the panel, so I don't speak for the panel or the panel's decision, but yeah. To redesign the presentation to the street in particular, I think that was probably the most important in my mind. And I was just wondering how long it would take your consultant and architect to do that.
We've got all the designs. We've submitted every single design. We could probably turn it around very quickly because we would have it somewhere in a CAD file, you know. So it's we've literally.
So within a fortnight. Yeah,
oh,
I understood. Yeah, I understood that your consultants weren't available this evening, which is one of the reasons you asked for a deferral.
Yeah, look, we wanted to try and all of the things that I've read out tonight has been stuff that we've addressed previously in countless emails with Fiona and Marta and Lewis and Peter. It's just been like.
Yeah, he's asking is there anything else that you need to address, and do you need more time for this?
Oh, do we need more time? I mean, if the council wanted to see more information on the heritage report, then yes, we would need a bit more time for that. You know, if it was deferred and we were sort of pointed towards some kind of determination, we would want a clear path as to how we would achieve that. You know.
Okay, thank you. So you could probably have the information to council within, say, a fortnight.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get an idea of the time frame. Thank you. That's all. As I said, I'm only one panel member. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Emma?
No, Gary, I appreciate those clarifications, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you.
And John, do you have any?
I don't have any other questions either. Thank you. Thanks for that presentation.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, Chair, is Marilla here to present to the panel as well? Is Marilla the applicant, or who is Marilla? Sorry.
Marilla's the applicant. And I understand Pamela was the next one to present. Is that correct, Mr. Page?
Oh, look, Pamela said she's fine. She won't speak tonight. She'll be fine.
That's okay. I was just inquiring. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Marilla, were you going to address the panel as well? You're on mute, Marilla. Marilla, can you hear me?
Unfortunately, you're still on mute.
Marilla, can you hear me? You're on mute.
I think she knows she's on there. Yeah.
She can't get off mute. That's it. Yep.
Okay.
No.
Do you wanna
Oh, look, I've got a couple of notes here from Marilla. Do you mind if I read yours out, Marilla? Look, she sent me the notes that she wanted to go through anyway. The notes were that there's been numerous online meetings with council staff, as well as an on-site meeting with council staff. Many of the meetings resulted in agreements, which were, reneged upon, I guess. We've completed 2 rounds of amendments with council. The latest amendments completed in consultation with Fiona and Peter with respect to side setbacks in order to minimise the impact to the adjoining properties were all agreed to by council in emails. She mentioned again that we can't avoid the impact to the adjoining properties because they didn't follow the subdivision pattern in the area, which was a requirement of council. So they initially had blocks, 2 blocks which were subdivided adjacent to the original subdivision pattern, which has caused their backyards to be adjoining our boundary wall on our south side, their north side. Marilla mentioned that this was one of the most important aspects when subdividing the properties, and she's unsure, and we're unsure too, as how they were granted approval to even do that. The overshadowing impact and any other impact is therefore inevitable as the subdivision pattern has not been respected. The approved unreasonable subdivision pattern is enabling us to propose, not enabling us to propose anything without impacting their properties. Marilla mentioned that she'd like any of the members of the panel to visit the area in order to fully understand the scale of the previous and recent developments in the area along both sides of the street. To the heritage issue, we believe that any of the recently and previously built dwellings do not have any necessary attributes that will classify them as belonging to the heritage conservation area. We also believe that the subject heritage conservation area should be considered as such. We would like the council to name some of the buildings they believe to reflect attributes the heritage importance of the area, if any. And we're also happy to reconsider the design of the top level to appear as different, more in line with the heritage consultant's initial recommendation.
Which is on 153 of our report. Yep.
No, it's. I don't think it is. The initial one wasn't actually listed inside of that agenda, to be honest. It's a typical pitched roof design from the front, looking forward.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Is that Marilla's summary?
That's Marilla's.
Unfortunately, without Marilla. Sorry, we can't offer you your own words, Marilla. And I've got a Jessica Dean, is it, as the applicant or an applicant representative? Are they proposing to speak as well?
Jessica is the town planner from
town planner.
Local group. She did a written submission there, I believe.
Is she with you this evening?
No, she's not. She only submitted a written submission there.
Written submission. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Are there any questions of any of the presenters from the panel?
Can I just ask a quick question? Ben, I just
Sure.
Sure.
point you to page 153 of the agenda.
Sure.
And there's a elevation there, and so it looks like I'm not sure how I'm reading this because I can't see a side elevation, but it looks like the top level of that particular elevation is a gable with a north-south orientation. Is that right, or is that just what's the roof form on that particular?
Well, that particular design had like a standing seam roofing that sort of pitches up steep like that from the side elevation. So that has those two top windows there are almost like a little dormer windows popping out of it.
Like an attic.
Sort of, yeah.
So that was one of your earlier schemes, was it?
Well, it was. That was an option. To be honest, it wasn't our preferred option because I don't really like the look of those things, but it was an option that we put forward, and that seems to be the one that has made the cut in here. So,
sorry, I managed to get my voice. I know.
Thanks, Marilla.
Marilla, I'll let you make a few comments if you'd like to add to what Ben told us.
I just believe that they are really disadvantaged because they have a next door neighbor with approved subdivision pattern that shouldn't have been approved, and I think that creates all the problems for them, and that's why they make a huge impact to the next door neighbor. In terms of the heritage appearance, I really would like you to visit the area because there is nothing heritage about it.
Can I respond to that first? Sorry to interrupt, but can I say all of the panel has inspected the site and had a look around the area, and they are very familiar with the locality, the character, and the proposal. So we have visited. We haven't been inside the building, but we certainly have been at the area.
Right.
But that's great. But I would like you to name me just few buildings that you would consider as contributory item or similar, because what I've seen, it's not,
Yeah. Well, respectfully, it's not our role to do that. Our role is to adjudicate on the applications before us.
No, that's great. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I understand.
And to do that in light of the council's recommendation and your proposal. So we have to deal with the application that's before us, I'm afraid, Marilla.
Yeah, but we are happy to amend the top part of the building in order to fit more to the council DCP requirements to have the third floor to appear as an attic space.
The panel
will
take that on board when they have their deliberation, surely.
Because apart from that, we really have lengthy discussion with Fiona and with Louis, and after last meeting, that was actually, we pretty much got the green light to go ahead with the design. Yeah. Okay. So that's why we are quite disappointed, because we were promised something and we didn't get that, and the reason we need more time is really, I would like to prepare, and you, Ben, you mentioned that heritage report on the area and to guide us for the top design of the, of the proposed third floor.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions of the panel?
No, thank you, Chair.
John?
No, thank you, Gary. No.
Emma?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Marilla. Thank you, Ben. And we'll let you go now, and we'll go and deliberate on your matter, and there'll be a determination made this evening, and the results will be published, if not tomorrow, the following day.
Okay.
I'm sorry, whereabouts do they get published?
They get published on council's website.
Yep.
And it normally takes a day. So if not tomorrow, it won't be tomorrow, it'll be perhaps the following day.
Yep. Should we be get notification of that, or do we just jump on and have a look?
If you jump on and have a look, that'll be the quickest way, but yes, you'll get notification.
Right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, but as I mentioned, we are happy to work on a third floor, but apart from that, that's something that's really we agreed firmly with Fiona and Louis. So that's why I really was so surprised with, with the letter we received from you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. I'll close then this part of the meeting and we'll move into our deliberation. So thank you for your attendance. And if you could just sign off and turn off, that would be that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.